The first commercial I ever did was for Taco Cabana when I was like 9 years old. My mom took me. She was like, just remember what I told you, do what they tell you. And from there, I kind of always wanted to like just work in entertainment.
All right, Bryan. So thank you for coming up this way and visiting. And we're going to give you a haircut.
Yes.
Mainly because I saw a few of my friends post on their stories a photo of you with 2 letters.
Yes.
G and then Q. And I was like, okay, I've seen the same person post. Several people post the same person. I was like, all right, I'm got to click on it. So I clicked on it. And it's basically you were like the poster boy for this discussion of the Edgar, or as you call it, the broccoli cut.
Yeah, well, there's 2 cuts. So there's like the Edgar cut, which is like what all the Mexican kids are getting, where it's like the mushroom.
Yeah.
So like I did videos making fun of that cut, and then I made that one exploded online.
Yeah.
And then I think that's my most viewed video on Instagram. It's like 17 million views.
Nice.
And then I did a follow-up, which was the broccoli cut, which is what all the white boys are. You know, like they're getting the curly hair and they're dude, you're getting kids doing perms now.
Yeah.
And then shaving down.
Yeah.
So I did that one, and then that one exploded. And then I had a lot of hair people actually start following me. A lot of barbers, everything, because they were laughing and they were like, I had so many barbers, right? They're like, I refuse to do this haircut.
I realized that I had actually liked your video.
Oh, really?
And I didn't realize, because I remember like when you see a group of Edgars, it's an egg herd.
An egg herd.
Egg herd. And I was laughing because I'm like, oh my God, I remember this. I remember seeing this because probably not too long ago, I was teaching and I was talking shit on that haircut.
Yes.
Because I was like, they go, what about the Edgar? I'm like, you mean the barber who grew up watching VeggieTales too much? And they're like, what do you, and they didn't, no one laughed. They were like so offended that I would talk shit on this beloved haircut of theirs.
Jesus.
And I was like,
that's why we should make fun of it.
Well, like I will say, like, if there's anything as a hairdresser I can give any props to who has to do these haircuts, it's like I've seen some really sick skin taper fades, like the skin to hair ratio, like how smooth and how tight, like that's not easy to do. But the craziness up here in the top, like the ratio.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't understand it. I feel like it's a combination of broccoli and the little fucking
it is veggies.
Mushroom dude from fucking Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And
Toad.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, what's going on here?
It's 2 veggies, dude. You got the mushrooms versus the broccolis.
A lot of those perm things, I started noticing them actually more with Korean hairdressers posting that stuff.
Really?
Yes, Korean and Japanese guys were like trying.
Oh yeah, because those the Korean pop stars, they get them right.
Like yeah. So like it was funny to see the transition, like how it all worked. But
yeah, that's to me where it's like I just started seeing so many of it.
Yeah,
like when I'd be out, like I'd be at the airport. I'm like, this is the new COVID. It's spreading faster than COVID, like because it's just growing, dude. It was just spreading, and then I would just see the same type of guys. And I don't know, man, back when I'm in my 30s, dude, I'm a millennial. So like we were all trying to be different. Remember? Like, but like, I feel like now because things trend and they're so fast on like TikTok, everybody's trying to be the same trend. So it's like everybody getting the exact same haircut. Like if you're doing all that, like, dude,
yeah, no,
we're less unique now is what I feel. So I was like, my comedy brain just started firing off on this. And I think
I'm right there with you. Cause like the first thing I thought of was like VeggieTales. I'm like, this is what happens in a whole generation. Lots of cartoon about fucking veggies.
Yeah. They all get the same tattoo. They all get the same earring, the one earring that hangs down here. Like, and dude, that's when I posted that video. And then GQ had reached out to me, you know, cause it's all like men's fashion, everything. Yeah. And they were talking about how the new Superman is like a Gen Z Superman because they gave him a broccoli cut.
Did they really do that?
Yes, they did.
Can I?
I know.
Before we even get up, I'm going to go off right now about James Gunn, who took over the DC thing. Dumbass. I don't care. I don't care if this ruins connections. That dude fired the best Superman in the history of Supermans since Christopher Reeves. Henry Cavill, or whatever his name is, Henry. I'm going to call him Henry like I know. Henry.
Just the hunk. Just a hunk.
That dude, to me, was the closest physical specimen we're ever going to get.
Oh, yeah.
To Superman. There's a fucking great meme I'll show you later. And it shows like Henry Cavill and Superman. And it shows the new Superman. And like this new Superman suit's kind of like baggy.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes Superman Temu. And I was like, yeah. I don't even want to see the new one because I can't stand just the suit.
The suit alone just did it.
Yeah. It's just awful. Now, I'm also going to bitch about the Henry Cavill movies because great casting all the way through, but like that script.
Oh, yeah.
Like right when Zod got in there, I was like, dude.
I mean, I like it, but
bad. It just wasn't like there's so much better, more potential. Like when I'm watching The Batman, I'm like so excited.
Yeah.
People can talk crap about Robert Pattinson. I think it's one of the best movies of Batman, considering that Batman started out as a detective.
Right.
And it's like that whole like crime noir like vibe, which is what it should be.
I mean, it's very much like a detective novel.
Batman's a person. He's not a superhero. He has no special powers. He has a special billionaire bank account.
I mean, I'll give it a chance, dude. This guy, maybe he'll be a full Gen Z. Maybe we'll see Superman vape for the first time. You know what I mean? Maybe his kryptonite is like they do a vape flavored kryptonite and it kills him. I don't know.
That would be funny.
That's how Lex Luthor kills him.
That's how he does it. Yeah.
He's sliding into girls' DMs after he saves them. Like, I kind of like Gen Z Superman.
Gen Z Superman sliding into DMs.
Yeah, dude. He's like,
he's in a speeding bullet.
He's live streaming while he's flying. You know what I mean? He's like very Gen Z. So maybe that'll be it, dude. Maybe he's bumping Drake. You know, I'm ready, dude. It's a new world.
Yeah, I'm not ready for it.
Damn, you gotta be open for.
No, I'm an older millennial. I can be the get off your lawn guy. I can be that guy.
Well, dude. I mean,
I'm old enough. I almost got 10 years on you, so I can be the older, cranky millennial because they call it like the weird cusp of age. Like I'm too old to be totally millennial, too young to be Japanese.
Yeah, you're in that weird zone
too. So I'm like.
That's true.
This weird mix.
You are an elder millennial.
I am. I'm elderly.
Yeah. No, now it's crazy, dude, to be born in the 80s now. Like everyone looks at you and you're like, you were born in the 80s? I'm like
things were fun.
Yeah, I am.
It was fun. Yeah, when you could just like kind of do whatever.
Or also Gen Z, like thinking that they're bringing back, they think they're inventing 90s styles. I'm like, dude, I saw that growing up.
I wore it.
Yeah, I know. You're like, I wore that shirt that you're wearing. That's actually my shirt. I thrifted it. You're like one that you thrifted. I threw that away 6 months ago.
No flannels. I'm like, I wore too much flannel. 95. I don't ever want to wear flannel ever again.
They're wearing Doc Martens. They're like, yeah, we're bringing back Doc Martens. You brought them back.
Fifth grade, like 1993. I'm wearing like 8-10 old Docs, flannel, wide cut jeans with holes in them. Everyone's like, oh, that's fashionable.
The dirty Chuck Taylors, the old Converse, you let them get super dirty. That's how they were cool.
Well, now you just buy them from Golden Goose.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
I don't understand. I'm like, I'm usually throwing shoes away when they look like that. Yeah. Like I love them.
Now they're coveted.
Dirty shoes. Who knew?
Dirty shoes. Man.
Yeah.
The dirtier, the better.
So since you were in the GQ reference of the whole thing, so are we doing a broccoli cut?
No, dude. If we're here to do a broccoli cut, I am out, dude. I'm getting pranked right now. Dude.
Joe didn't tell you?
No.
That's what he was. Yeah, that's what. By the way, it's funny he goes by Chonkla now.
Chonkla.
Yeah. Which, if you don't know what Chonkla is, you're just kind of like, oh, that's a unique Hispanic.
It's like, ooh, is that like exotic?
Yeah,
is that flavorful?
Yeah. But then,
is that like that?
Imagine if somebody's talking and they know Spanish, they're like, oh, my buddy Chonkla. You're thinking like, that kid is a lonely kid. He has an imaginary friend called a sandal.
It's a talking sandal.
Yeah.
It's the latest Pixar movie.
Yeah. He just slapped it.
It's a sandal that came to life, dude.
But he couldn't talk because sandals don't have tongues, but shoes do.
There we go.
So what are we doing, man?
So, dude, I mean, basically my hair has overgrown. So I've been on the road for so long. I've not been able to get a cut. I just moved to Texas. So it's like, I'm like, in desperate need of a bar. I look like a stray dog that just, is getting rescued on a
You
TikTok.
look like a Latino Frodo.
I do, man. This is not good. People are like roasting me too. They're like, dude, it's too long. Well, it's too long. It's too long.
Why is it too long?
So normally I cut it.
You don't want the Kylo Ren?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, right? They're like, hey, man, why'd you kill your dad on Solo? All cholos.
Dude, have you seen that Creeper? A Cholo set with Creeper?
Oh, yeah. Frankie Quinones, dude. He's hilarious. Yeah. I love him.
When I saw that, I was like, I hit send to so many of my friends.
Oh, dude, if you're in SoCal, everyone knows a cholo, dude.
Oh, but my buddy went as one for Halloween. And then we all went to like a gas station to buy beer. And I'm not kidding. The guy behind the counter was so on fucking edge. He was like, my buddy Robert's eyes, like the stunner shades, the bandana.
But he was like really in it.
No, my buddy dressed up as a cholo.
I know, like he was like full character.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
I'm like this. Just like, it was hysterical. And then we look out the car, I'm like, that guy was so fucking scared.
He starts throwing up gang signs, not even knowing what they're. Yeah, he's just doing this like the whole time.
Exactly.
So, dude, honestly, what I do is I kind of keep it to where like this is kind of the overall cut, but it's normally I think about an inch shorter.
Okay.
So just kind of keep it to where.
And what do you do with your hair? You get out the shower, your hair's wet. Like, what do you do from there?
So what I do is I let the hair. I just basically put like shaping cream in it.
Okay. So
and then let it dry out, and then that's usually kind of how my sleeves.
like a light.
Yeah, like a light hold to where it kind of looks natural, just as long as it kind of tames the frizz. So like this is kind of what I normally do. So it's cool. Basically just this, but shorter, neater, tighter.
Nice.
Yeah.
By the way, this is also a very 90s look too.
I mean, I have to.
I know. You gotta represent. Dude, I recently was like watching like Notting Hill with Hugh Grant.
Oh, young Hugh.
But like so much of the style, and because that movie came out in like I think 98 or 99.
Yeah. But like
so much of that style is so common now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like fashion. It was just normal. But
yeah.
Like, his haircut is like, I've cut that haircut so many times on a bunch of this like kids in college. So, all right. So what we're going to do is, hey, I'm going to see something. Let me see what we got going on here. You got some waves.
I do.
Little waves going on. That's awesome.
Dude, I didn't even know my hair was curly till I grew it out.
Like I saw an old video that you had on your Instagram. Your hair's like, you had like a fade and a side part.
I had a fade, man. I had like, so I didn't grow my hair till the COVID. And after that, I just kept letting it grow.
You got COVID and the only cure was like growing out your hair.
Yeah, that's what they told me. I had a bruja tell me, they're like, if you don't grow your hair, your career is going to suck. I was like, all right.
And it's like, you're like,
you listen to them, dude. They know shit.
Yeah.
So I keep now, but
okay.
The thing is now is,
when did you get your haircut last?
Man,
where was this, in New York?
Yeah, back in New York. I want to say probably November. So it's been a minute.
Dude, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
That's the one thing when you have longer hair, you don't have to get as many haircuts.
Somebody left a whole chunk longer.
Really?
Yeah. You should ask for a refund. Let me get a cape on you.
Let's do it.
And then we'll spray you down and then we'll start cutting. Have you ever had your hair cut with a razor before?
I think a little bit, not too much. So.
Like you don't have like a preference, like I don't like it, or you do like it.
Like a razor versus just scissors?
Yeah.
Whatever helps you.
No, because I'm looking at the ends and like I see a lot of like unevens, which is great because that's what's going to keep your curls in your waves like softer and like never blended.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think that like a razor with your hair would actually just also grow out really nice too. It gives you more of like that lived in feel that you would get with your haircut when you have curly hair. Like about like 2 weeks into a haircut, like when it's kind of more settled in.
Yes.
Now, what I'm doing is also highly controversial in my world because most people don't believe you can do a razor and wave your curly hair. And I'm telling them like, well, there's a way to use the razor and a way that it doesn't make the hair.
I trust you, dude. So
I don't want it does.
Yes. You're like, this could go either really good or really bad.
So let's keep you up. Okay,
let's do it.
Go. All right. I'm going to wait a little bit. Yeah. Set. So tell me,
yes,
how long have you been doing stand-up comedy, Bryan? And by the way, Bryan,
yeah,
how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Torresdey? Torresdey.
If you can roll your R's, Torresdey.
Yeah.
But if you're a white boy, then it's just Torresdey.
I'm gonna sound like John Wayne then.
Yeah.
Como te llamas?
That's like when you cross Border Patrol, they speak to you in Spanish first, or at least to me. They're like, "Donde vienes?" And I'm like, "I'm actually just coming from Laredo, sir." They're like, "A donde vas?" And it's like, dude, just speak English, bro. I speak.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, they do that, but it's Torresdey originally.
Yeah.
But I've been doing comedy for 12 years now.
12 years.
Yeah, man. I started out in LA.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird because like now I'm back in Texas.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Well, I just moved here from New York." They're like, "Oh, you're a New Yorker." I'm like, "Not really," because I lived in LA before that.
Yeah.
But I was born in Texas. But I'm San Antonio.
San Antonio. Okay.
And I've been gone since 2008.
Okay.
So I've been gone since 2008, lived in LA, moved to New York, and then now I'm here. So it's kind of like, the hometown thing is kind of weird. Because like we're comedians, it's like, where'd you start is always like the first place you started comedy. So
I had a comic on Maverick McWilliams.
okay.
And he said the same thing. He's like, you kind of have like your Harlem comedy club, like where you go and like cut your teeth. Like he's like, yeah, it's always home. For him, that was like, I think Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so like he has like his Oklahoma thing, but now he lives in Austin.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really crazy, especially if like you move somewhere and then you move back home. So it's like interesting, like you don't really have like that home, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's different. So like, it kind of like, a lot of people think it like dictates your style. Like, you know, like New York comics are like very joke centric, you know, where it's like all about the setup, tight setup, big punchlines. And then
That just sounds like a classic joke to me.
well, I know. Well, in LA, it was a little bit more like storytelling, a little bit about. So like when I went to New York, if people were like, "Dude, you have like an LA style," because I guess I would like act out my jokes a little bit more. Basically, you're a little bit more theatrical with your comedy. And if actually the more you watch comedy, like you can actually see it, especially I think it was way more kind of apparent in like the early to mid 2000s. Like you can kind of see like George Lopez is like very like theatrical.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with like Gabriel Iglesias, like huge storytellers. They do the sound effects, they do the faces, the voices. That's like, they consider that more of an LA stuff. So it's kind of weird, man. Like each coast has its own kind of like, yeah, like their own kind of, it's almost like with fighters, like you can tell what gym they come out of because they do like the same type of moves, you know?
You're like, oh, that guy's a B team, Ted Planet versus like,
right. Team Planet Fitness. Can you imagine that? Imagine a UFC fighter. They're like, yeah, he's trains out of the Planet Fitness in Seguin, Texas. He's just eating a slice of pizza.
That would be funny. That would be so funny.
Yeah, he trains out of Planet Fitness, and it's just like him, like fucking triggering the alarms there and stuff.
It would just be funny if that actually had happened, and like you see like a guy like Planet Fitness sponsor, he's like puts him in an R-bar just eating pizza.
If a fighter trained at Planet Fitness, yeah, that's a good.
You need to do a skit with one of those guys.
I should, man.
Do you know anybody
from Planet Fitness?
No, any MMA fighters?
I know some boxers. I don't know any MMA fighters, but boxing is like, yeah.
But do you want me to try and get Connor for you? I know a guy who knows a guy.
Dude, if you could, man, I'd love to just be in the room with that guy, dude.
I bet he made his the fuck you suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He seems like such a character, dude. He looks like one of those dudes where you're like, there's never an off switch, like he's always on.
Yeah.
Like I've been around certain people where you're like, oh, I bet you in real life that guy is crazy, and then you meet them, they're like the most tame. Like I've met some like comedians like that where you're like, oh, I bet you they're like always cracking, and then you're in the green room with them and they're just chilling like really quiet, and they're just like,
no,
I'm like, is this guy pissed or something?
No, I know what you're saying, because like I feel like that was some like singers for like rock bands. Everyone's like, I bet you they're like really.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, no, not really. Like I remember like hanging out with Chester from Linkin Park, right?
Oh wow.
And we'd be at my buddy's house, right? They were in a band together, and we'd just be like watching like Dexter or whatever, just hanging out on the couch. Super mellow, like not this like larger than life person, but he had a larger than life warmth to him, right?
Yeah.
Like I keep telling him, like he was like one of the most like normal, easygoing, super friendly guys. Then you see him on stage and you're like,
Yeah, it was like he leaves it all on stage. Yeah.
Totally. You know.
Yeah, there's guys like that, man. But yeah, I saw that a lot in comedy. So like I started doing comedy out in LA. And
did you move to LA for comedy?
I moved to LA. Yeah. I always wanted to be in entertainment. Originally I thought I wanted to just be like an actor and stuff, but when I quickly realized is like there's not a lot of roles for like Latin actors unless you wanted to be like, no joke, like a cholo character or anything. Like I remember auditioning, right?
Yeah.
One of the first big auditions I had was for this show called Southland, which I don't even think it's on the air, but
I remember seeing it.
Yeah. So basically that show,
a cop show.
It was a cop show based in LA. And I remember I went to the audition and they were like, this guy's a Mexican gangbanger. So, you know, look at me, dude. I look like a freaking adult Disney kid. You know what I mean? Like,
You're
I'm like
super intimidated.
I know. Yeah. But I was like, I tried to like, you know, kind of toughen myself up. I wore the wife beater. I put on a beanie. Like you have to do that stuff.
Like you're a dude from fucking Next Friday.
Yeah. I look like Baby Joker from Next Friday. And I had to because I was like, I want to get this. And then I went to the callback and the guy was like, very good, very good. And then I was like, I got it. I got a second callback.
Oh, wow.
And then that's when you go and meet with the producers and the directors there. And you're like, dude, I'm literally like this audition away from, you know, getting a major role in a TV show, right? Like a guest star, which is huge. And then my agent tells me, he's like, yeah, so it's between you and two other actors. You're the only ones there. So your appointment is at like 1:15 p.m. So just be ready. So I get there like 20 minutes early. I'm sitting there. And then one of the other actors was in the audition room. And I was like, oh, okay, I heard him. And like, he didn't even sound that good. I was like, you know, because you're kind of listening.
Yeah.
You're trying not to get in your head.
Says like a competition.
Yeah. So I was kind of like sizing. I was like, all right. Yeah. And then this dude walks out and I'm not joking. This dude literally had tattoos on his face.
Oh, plot.
And he was straight up like a reformed cholo. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not fucking getting this. And and he looked at me too, where he's like, who's this Abercrombie kid LARPing as a cholo? You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I'm not getting this. So
if they ever did Southland, the Disney version.
Exactly. Yeah. If it was like, if the High School Musical cast went to like an East LA high school, then that's when they'd call me. So I was just like, oh shit, this is going to be tough. So at that point, I was at an interesting comedy. I decided to try it after I watched this documentary. Do you ever see that documentary? It was with Vince Vaughn, where he took a bunch of comedians on the road from the Comedy Store. It's called Vince Vaughn's like Wild West Comedy Tour.
I heard about it.
Yeah. So he had some like amazing comics on. He had Sebastian Maniscalco before.
Who's fucking hysterical.
Who was Sebastian before everyone knew him as Sebastian.
Yeah.
He had Brett Ernst, which later became a friend of mine who's an amazing comic. He had John Caparulo, who's another great LA comic. And then he had Ahmed, who's amazing as well. So he took on these like powerhouse comics and he did a whole tour movie.
I remember the movie, but I remember seeing the tickets being sold for that.
Yeah.
And all I kept thinking is, Vince Vaughn's going to do stand-up?
Everyone thought that. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, I don't know how that's going to be.
Yeah. So everyone thought he was going to do stand-up, but he basically just hosted shows and he was like, these are some of my favorite comics and I want the world to know them, which was so cool of him.
He should do that again.
Yeah. And I remember watching that documentary and then they were talking about the process of comedy. And at the time I was in LA and it kind of sucks because when you're just an actor, like you have to wait around for auditions or you're in acting classes and, you know, you're not really as in control as your career as you want to be. You know, you kind of have to wait for these opportunities.
Yeah.
So I was like, I saw the documentary. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to try it. So I did my first open mic, which actually went pretty well. Like,
where was that at?
It was at the Santa Monica. There was a West Side Comedy in Santa Monica.
Okay.
Which is like, it's right off the promenade, but you have to, the way to enter it is like through the back alley.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Rounding.
So they did an open mic and you would, you know, I remember showing up 2 hours early just to get on this stage. And I was excited. I had all my material written. And of course, I memorized it like an actor.
Yeah.
Which, you know, later on, you're like, it's not really the best way to do it. Comedy's kind of more in the moment. Like, you know your joke, but
I imagine writing a joke was kind of like bullet points.
that's how it should be.
There's marks. You're like, I got to start here and I got to end here. And then in between these two things, there's like 3 things I have to hit to end the scene.
Right.
And then I've never done any of these things, but I imagine like if I were writing stand-up, that's what I did. Like, all right, here's the premise. Here I'm going to start it. I have to get to here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way to do it. Everyone's method is different. I know Gabriel Iglesias, he had mentioned that he never writes anything down, which
So he's like Jay-Z and Biggie.
well,
Just fucking flowing.
well, he says he has stories. So he's a storyteller.
Yeah.
This is why like everyone's style is different. So he's like, I'm a storyteller. I know the stories that I want to talk about. And I just go through it. And then it goes, if it's funny, I'll remember it. And then he says he has someone record his sets. So he'll go back and rewatch it and see where like he could punch it up, which I think is cool. But I've also seen Louis C.K. go on stage at the Improv and literally like with a notebook, look at his jokes and then tell them to the audience and then be like, oh, you guys didn't fucking like that. Like, you know, like everyone's method is different.
It's funny you say that about the joke book because I was like 23. I remember this because I'm 43, so it's 20 years ago. I saw the last tour of George Carlin.
Oh, wow.
And he was doing all these shows for the HBO special. He
Okay.
had his little bar stool up there with his water, and then he had his joke book, and then someone started heckling him for having like, oh, you with your joke book, you old man, or some shit like that. Right?
What?
Yeah. And he's like, listen to me, you fucker, you're getting the jokes the way they're supposed to be. By the time I do the special, they're not going to be the same. And I was like, that's great. I was like, that's great. Like he stood up for himself, and you would expect George Carlin to do that. But then having watched the special, that guy did it almost verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, you're like leading on it. Was there a perfect?
Well, that's what, yeah. So Carlin was like known for that with like, he was someone who was like a wordsmith. Like he counted how many words were in it. And that's like I said, everyone's different.
Yeah.
You know?
And I just thought, because I'd never seen a comedian with a notebook before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I'd see like Brian Posehn, and we saw Bob Saget or Dave Attell, right? And they're just going up there.
Yeah.
And then to see somebody who's like this iconic legend,
Like the legend. Yeah.
Carlin, and he has a fucking book.
Yeah.
And I was like, But I also thought, well, he just got out of rehab. Because it was like when we did his weird relapse thing for a little second or something like that. I was like, well, maybe he just needs a joke book, like it's like a little blankie, a little crutch. But yeah, no, it's.
I mean, that's the way I'd want to see. If I got to see Carlin, I'd want to see him work out. And I think a lot of comics, like you want to see the comics when they're working stuff out because you already know how good they are. Like,
yeah, it's going to be a 10.
Yeah.
But you want to kind of hear the joke when it's a 7.
Yeah. I want to see, because that's where you know someone's like how good someone is when the room sucks, number one, or you see it when they're coming up with material.
Yeah.
And like the way they maneuver that and how they're able to get out of that if it bombs. That's when you get to see like their training come through. It's almost like you don't really know how good a fighter is until they get dropped for the first time and how they come back. And like, yeah, you see someone like Ali would get dropped, but he would come back and still win these fights.
Yeah.
That's how you know someone good is. Or like, so that's how I want to see a comic. Like if I saw, like I've seen Louis C.K. do a live hour, thought he was amazing. But when I saw him work out material for 30 minutes, I learned way more than just seeing that perfected hour. So
yeah, because there's not, I mean, you see, maybe you don't, but I remember watching because the Irvine Spectrum also has an improv.
Yeah, the Irvine Improv. Yeah,
and
it's huge.
And there would be like these flyers, and it would say like comedy workshop classes.
Yeah,
and I look at it, I'm like, really? Like, do people go to that expecting to come out funny, or like I've never taken one of those classes, right? But I've almost wanted to enroll just to see like what does somebody walk away with from that? Because I feel like I've never heard a comedian go, I wanted to do comedy and then I saw this flyer. So I enrolled.
Yeah.
Now I'm funny. Like I just don't imagine like that's the case. I mean, have you ever heard of any comedians like that's what, like where you do?
Yeah, dude. There's comics who've taken their first time on stage was in a class.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Are they famous now? Do you want to rat them out? Let's do it.
I don't think it's a bad. It's just
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, I've known comics that they've gotten on TV, they've done Conan, and they start off in a comedy class, so it can work. Yeah. You know, there's nothing against it. I think what a comedy class does is like if you're someone who's extremely intimidated, then I think it helps. You know what I mean? Like the hardest part with comedy is that you're by yourself. And that's the one reason why I love it is because you're not dependent on anyone else.
Yeah.
It's you. So if you get the laughs, they're all yours. If you get the bomb, it's all on you.
Yeah. It's not a team sport.
It's not a team sport. Yeah. So it's not like sketch or improv where like the entry point is a little bit easier because you're not, it's not as intimidating. Yeah. So a lot of people are intimidated by stand up. And if a class is the way for you to get up there and to kind of get over that fright a little bit and give you a little bit of like a safety net, do it. You know, like that's it, you know. But yeah, no, I've never taken a stand-up class, but doesn't mean I'm against it. It's like I think it's like whatever helps you become the best comic possible, do it.
You said earlier on you wanted to be in entertainment. You thought you wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
Did you have any sort of acting or stage experience before you moved to LA? Like, did you do like shows and plays? Like, so you were already in front of the audience.
Yeah. There was I did like very little theater, but my mom, she always wanted to be like an actress.
Okay.
And, you know, but she couldn't, you know, she was like, she had 4 kids by the time she was like 30. So she was like, I have to raise these kids. I have to, you know, be a housewife, you know? So, but what she did is she kind of pushed that onto like me and my brothers. So
did anybody else continue on that path or is it just you?
No, I was the only one that did. So it's like she would take us to like local auditions. I remember in San Antonio. Yeah. And then I did commercials as a kid in Texas. You don't know, the first commercial I ever did was for Taco Cabana when I was like 9 years old.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my mom took me and then she was like, just remember what I told you, do what they tell you. And she's like, you'll be fine. I remember I did the audition. It was like something where like a little kid had to throw confetti or something like that.
That's awesome.
And then, so yeah, that kind of planted the seed for me. And she was always like very supportive of it.
That's cool.
And she was like, you know, I want you to do it if you like it. And if you like it, keep doing it. And I did. And from there, I kind of always wanted to like just work in entertainment from there. And that's when I, you know, moved out to LA with kind of like that mindset of like, I'm going to do some stuff. And
so since you were doing this in LA, what restaurants did you work at?
I was a server at, actually, dude, you want to know the worst job I think that I ever had was working at Menchie's frozen yogurt.
Oh, God. I didn't see one of those in years.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I worked at a froyo spot. That was like my day job for a while. It was in Calabasas, so I saw like a lot of celebrities go through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna cut all this stuff off, okay?
Yeah.
It's just weird excess. Yeah. Just give you a nice little sideburn. It's good, dude.
Yeah. Actually, like make it look like
it's intended to be something.
Yeah. Versus just like some odd hair.
Yeah.
But
you'd be like the only Latino actor looking payos.
Oh yeah. It's good. Give me like the curl sideburns.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So when I was in LA for a while, like that was kind of like what I started doing the open mic scene, getting more involved. I started meeting some other really good like Latin comics out there, guys like Willie Barcena, Felipe Esparza. So it was a great scene to be in like the mid 2000s. And then I just started working my way into the clubs and then started going on the road for a bit. And that kind of kept that momentum going, dude.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that was a fun thing. And then with everything as it is, it's like you have to start morphing into doing content online.
How does that like playing into it? Because I imagine, so I'm going to talk about me for a second, please. Hairdressers, we got into the business of being a hairdresser to do hair, to make people look good and feel good and express some sort of artistic creativity through the art of hair, through, follicle management, right? None of us got into hairdressing and go like, I can't wait to do hair and film it and edit and become a photographer and learn how to write copy and then market and then brand. Like none of us decided to have like a marketing side hustle.
Yeah.
I think most hairdressers now getting into it know that that's part of the gig.
This next generation, right?
Yeah. How is that as like a comic where that's now expected of you to have that?
Yeah.
Because you have like over 100,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
But, that doesn't always equate to like, you're going to have like a packed room because the following count is high, right? Or it's like, is that?
I mean, it definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same point, like, like the funniest fucking person who's not really growing their online presence is going to have a harder time with peers to like,
yeah, dude.
Well, like on a higher billing.
Social media to me, it's like, it's a game that everyone's playing and you could either win or lose. And the only way you really lose is by not doing it.
Got it.
And yeah, it's a necessary tool now, but I like it. I like it way more because to me, it's like, it's whatever you make it. Like if some people are like, I hate it because it makes me less antisocial or like, it creates all these things. And it's like, if that's what you use it for, then yes. But it's also a great tool because it helps you connect with people you never thought you'd connect with. Look, we connected through social.
I know. I connected with Jim Brewer.
Yeah.
He responded to a random message of it, and he was out here and it didn't work out. And then we went to the show, and then there was the meet and greet afterwards, right?
Right.
And I said, hey, man, I'm sorry, I was talking about the podcast. And he was like, the haircut podcast. I was like, I told you, I think it's a good idea. Keep doing it. And so I hit him up. I go, any more awesome days? He's like, no awesome days in the future. But like, you're right. You can connect with people.
Yeah.
And Joe connected with Gabriel like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not against social media.
Yeah.
But I was just curious about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day as a comic, like everyone's goal was to get on the Tonight Show. That was like the big thing, or Comedy Central. It's like, if you got a Comedy Central Presents or a Tonight Show, that would kind of guarantee your bookings.
Yeah.
Which was good and bad because it meant like there was like a vetting process. Mm-hmm. And it kind of would weed out, people that were just kind of trend setters or like they were just kind of following a trend.
Yeah.
You would have to be very good, but at the same time, your whole career depended on whether one booker liked you or not.
Yeah.
And you could be, who knows? Maybe you just got on his bad side, but then, you're like, damn, that's my whole career. And now you're, instead of headlining theaters, you're doing casino gigs, So the cool thing with social media now is like you cut that whole middleman out and you go right to the audience. And the audience now dictates whether you like it, comedy or not. And that's the way I view comedy. It's like, it's always in service of entertaining the audience and making them laugh. So it doesn't matter what perspective you have or anything like that. Like at the end of the day, being funny is the number one rule. And if you can be funny, people are going to find you. They're going to follow you. And the good thing is you get to keep your audience there, man. Like, yeah, you can dictate.
Gatekeeping is gone.
The gatekeeping is gone. It's your audience. You have an interaction with them. I think it's awesome because you have a direct relationship with the people that care about you the most or care about your creativity the most.
Yeah.
And that's what I love doing, man. So I love posting videos and then someone in the comments is like, I can't believe I'd never heard of you. And now I do. Like now I'm a diehard fan. They're like, my favorite type of messages are like, I just binged like 50 of your videos.
Oh yeah, I was showing some of your videos to my buddy over the weekend, and him and his girlfriend were like roaring with laughter,
dude.
Like,
yeah.
And it's funny, she's Mexican, so she was like really. She's like, oh my god, because I'm like, I forgot what it was. There was something. I'm like, I don't understand. Oh, it was the Christmas one he did about like Latinos or Mexicans on
Oh, on how we celebrate on the 24th.
Yeah. And then it's like, here it is on the 20th. And
Yeah.
she's dying. She's like, and I'm like, I don't understand all this. I'm like, this is totally foreign to me, you know?
Yeah, but that's the cool thing is like now, also you can reach like smaller, like micro audiences. You can do jokes that like, they don't have to appeal to the masses. They can just appeal to like a certain group, and when they get it, yeah. And the group, when they get it, they laugh twice as much because they're like, oh man, this is so refreshing. So
yeah,
that's the one thing with social media now. It's so cool. Like you connect with people, you keep your audience. And it's also great when people come out to see me live and they'll be like, dude, I've been following your videos. And when you came out, like I wanted to, come see your live stand up. But that's the one thing. Sometimes people only know me through content and then they go, oh, he does stand up too. And I'm like, yeah, I started off doing stand up.
Well, I think you have a really good blend of like skits and then showing you on stage.
Yeah.
Because if you just did all skits, no one's like, oh, he's just a great online content creator.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun that you're able to hop in between both those worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just funny. What you do. I think it's great.
Oh, thank you, man.
You're online, right? Social media, and social media is a strange place, right? Because what's funny to one person is cancelable to another.
Yeah.
Right. And how does a comedian navigate that? And because I feel like when I go out and I like go watch like my buddies, I'll go like watch Dean or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I go to roast battle, right?
Right.
I feel like it does not matter who the comedian is. Anything that is like overly PC is the new punching bag.
Okay.
That's what I feel like.
You meaning like you think that bashing on PC stuff is like an easy joke, or do you feel like...
I feel like it can be a little bit of an easy joke, like a little bit of like low-hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
But with that doesn't mean it's bad. I feel like but I also feel like some of the language, like when like there's comedians that are like part of the LGBT community, and they're like going against like a good chunk of their set is like anti-woke humor.
Right.
And I'm like, is that because it's the dichotomy, like the paradox that makes this funny?
Yeah.
Or is it like that's the environment we are in because things were so hush-hush in comedy for so long?
Mm-hmm.
Dean and I had talked about that, like how the pendulum sort of like swings.
It does.
From like crazy wild. Because we were talking about this, and I'm going to reiterate it, was like late 80s, early 90s, you have, Clay, Hicks. And in the mid 90s, who do you get? Foxworthy and Seinfeld.
Right.
And then out of that, you start getting, you get your Dan Toshas.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, where does this go?
Yeah. Well, I think,
how do you do you care if anything you do is like, do you ever go, am I going to get canceled for this?
I honestly think for me, my end goal is to always be funny. And the whole reason I would do a joke, I never care about whatever the messaging is. I care whether it's funny or not.
Okay.
Now, there are topics that I know I'm like, this is a loaded topic. So that means I need to make sure that the punchline is that much better for it.
Yeah.
So if I talk about, like Latinos who did vote for Trump, I got to make sure those punchlines are strong.
Yeah.
And it's not an opinion, it's a joke. So at the end of the day, it's like whether you agree with it or not, like the joke is going to stand on its own.
Yeah.
So I always make sure that if I am talking about a loaded topic, something that if you just introduce it like at a dinner party and people will get quiet, you're like, this needs to be really funny.
Yeah.
And that's how I try to navigate it. So anything that I do, I always make sure that I think it's a good, high quality joke, because I don't want to be the type of comedian that's just like, oh, they're just doing events, edgy stuff to get a reaction. I'm like, the only reaction I want is your laughter. I don't want groans. I don't want people to clap if they agree politically or people walk out if they disagree politically. Like, I want to just create a really good, funny joke. Yeah. So if you watch my social media stuff, some stuff's a little silly, some stuff's a little funky. I like to do characters and stuff.
Yeah.
But with my stand-up, I'm very like, I think that's kind of where the old school part of me is. I don't try to be trendy.
You just want to.
I respect material a lot.
Yeah.
My favorite comedians were Greg Giraldo, Norm Macdonald, who was really joke heavy.
Dude, Norm was a genius.
Right. Bernie Mac too. Like just great joke writers, guys who knew how to perform. They weren't trying to just say things into a microphone. They wanted you to laugh.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I always take that with me. Like, I take that kind of old school comedian mindset. I'm like, this needs to be funny, whether I'm doing it at a coffee house in Brooklyn and there's a Black Lives Matter poster behind me.
Yeah.
And it needs to be funny whether I'm doing a brewery outdoor show in Odessa, Texas. You know, so I need to make sure that I have that kind of ability, because for me, at the end of the day, like, I don't want people to come by and be like, oh, this guy just does this. It's like, no, this guy's just funny.
Yeah, you don't want to be a one-trick pony.
No, and I've seen there's kind of a trend now where there are a certain subsect of comics that, like, they're trying to just be as edgy as possible, but the punchlines are not there to back it up.
I saw a couple at Sunset Strip, here in Austin, where they were just saying very outlandish things, and the crowd kind of gets uneasy. And me being very optimistic, I'm like, this better be good.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to lead us down this hallway.
Right.
And it can't be ha-ha land. Like,
right.
It has to hit. Like, if you're going to start off with a dark topic or a really controversial topic, the laughter or the punchline better be so good that you forget the uneasiness that walked into it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. Like, I love a good joke, but it better be
hilarious.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
No, that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, that's why, like, and that's what makes you stick out. I mean, you know, Chris Rock, the reason everyone loves him is because he can get into those big, heavy, like, political topics, but he's got you laughing the whole way through.
Oh yeah. I mean, his whole bit about, you know, the only mission as a father of daughters is to keep her far away from the pole.
Yeah.
That's a girl who got too many hugs or not enough.
Yeah.
I was dying because I had clients that were strippers, and they would tell me my story, and I'm like, that joke is so true. Not always, but it was it hit a lot closer to home. Or to the chair for me. I was like, ooh.
So that to me is like, I think that's where comedy should. I think as far as stand-up goes, I think that's what you're saying. I think the comedians, and I think the market is very fair. If you're one of those comedians, you do get elevated, and it doesn't matter which way you lean politically. It doesn't matter, you know, what opinions the comedian has. Like, funny is always is funny, and it's undisputable.
I laugh at things. I mean, I grew up watching South Park, right?
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, I'm like, everything is in my world is on the table to be laughed at.
Yeah.
There's no protected class for me. I'm sorry. Like, Ricky Gervais, if you, like, watch his stand up, the things he's able to get away with is, if you were just to read the manuscript, like read the transcript of it, you'd be like, how is this even getting aired? Right. But then you hear his tone and his inflection and how he sells the joke and how he does the setup and all that. He's like one of my favorite comedians because he's able to, like, I mean, saw how he was at the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that was a prime example. Like, he's like doing what I feel a good comedian does, which is a little bit more like they hold a mirror to society sometimes.
Yeah, dude.
And they say, like, hey, like,
yeah, you're supposed to, I think one of my favorite things is, like, it's almost like how, like, Johnny Carson was, like, very much like,
he's great.
Yeah, he was great. And he never took a hard stance. For him, like, I remember he said one time, he's like, I just want to be like an observer of the world. He's like, I think a comedian should be like the everyman who's observing the world and try to make a sense of it through humor. And that's kind of my approach to it. So sometimes people follow my page, they're like, oh, this guy's a this or this guy's a that. But then when they come to my show, they go, oh, like this guy, like he touches on everything,
Yeah.
you know, and some people love it, some people don't. I also think comedy is like music. Not every genre is for everyone.
Not everyone loves Mariah Carey and Slipknot at the same time.
No, only me and you, you know, so
That's actually true. I went to a show and I saw Mariah Carey live at an award show, and I walked away going like, I will see her in concert anytime.
oh yeah, I would love
What I'm like, dude, like the fact that the human voice can do that is insane.
No, dude, I've gotten into a thing where I'm like, I don't care. Like people with that kind of vocal range are once in a lifetime. You have to see them live, dude.
There's like certain people.
I like cried. I saw Celine Dion's like Olympic performance, and I cried, dude. She was amazing. You have to see it.
I saw it. It didn't affect me like that. That's how I was when I saw the heavy metal band from France. I was like, a tear came from my eye. I'm like, oh, they did us so proud. They represented us metalheads like in the best way possible. I was like, oh, Gojira, you know?
Yes.
You're so good, Gojira.
So, but I think, yeah, it's like, I think with comedy, sometimes people are like, they'll write you off if you touch on a certain topic, but it's like, really listen to what they're saying. You know, like, I think comedy needs to be experienced live. I like that stand-up comedy's kind of had a resurgence.
Yeah.
And I think social media is helping with that. So I see more people, especially here in Austin. Like I feel like people don't even have a favorite stand-up comic, but they're willing to come out because it's so much in the ethos of this city that people are coming out to shows and they're just being like, yeah, I just know comedy's big now here. So I'm coming out to shows, and they start finding their favorite local comics. I performed here in Austin a few times, and people are like, dude, you're like one of my favorite comics now. Like they'll DM me. They're like, I've seen you 2 different times. I'm like, really? They're like, I came to 2 of your shows back to back because I saw you one night, wanted to see you again. You did different stuff. And I was like, and now it's like, you're kind of earning those fans. So it's almost like kind of like what the music scene was in like the Village in like the 1960s. Like people are discovering their favorite little artists and they're following them and kind of going along for the ride, which I think that's cool, dude. Like people are just listening to comedy now is like finding like your favorite, like undiscovered, you know, metal band or punk rock band.
Cause like I teach haircuts, I travel a lot, and was like, oh, Austin, have you been to Rogan's Mothership? I'm like, yes. I go, however, if you're in Austin, go to any club. I'm like, the best clubs are the open mics.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, really? I'm like, look, don't get me wrong. You want to go see your favorite comedian? Do it. Like you should absolutely go see your favorite comedian. You want to see your favorite comedian? Do it. But like when you go to an open mic, you're seeing people testing out jokes that are local. And then you're getting, because now Austin has a lot of heavy hitters that have moved in. You're also going to get some of these guys coming in and just like testing material out. And I go, and that's the fun part, because when you go to an open mic, you don't know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
But it's great. And I was talking about this to somebody else, and they felt, I think Troy and I were talking about this off camera about how like it feels like it's the first time we're like all comedy clubs, even like on a Tuesday, like on a Monday night or a Tuesday night, like it's an open mic. It's busy and packed because people are just really enjoying laughing again.
Yeah.
And it's just really nice because I used to go up to the Laugh Factory when Jay Davis did his thing.
Yeah, dude, Jay Davis.
It was fucking, he was,
Dane Cook was like the king of comedy then.
oh yeah, it was like 2005.
Yeah.
It was before his Vicious Circle. And that's where I got to see like Tom Papa and a bunch of, I think we talked a little bit about this before.
Oh yeah, Dove David off.
Dude, I'm hoping he comes to fucking awesome. I
think he's at Cap City in February.
I got to send him a DM. That guy is one of my favorite.
Dub's great.
I was trying to like this is when before he got sober, right? Then he was like off his rocker. It's great. But I was trying to explain to him, like he sets the joke up and it's like you're going up a roller coaster. And then right when that first punchline hits, it's the craziest straight downhill, like where your stomach just goes up and you're laughing and you're crying of laughter. And when the ride ends, it's like a hard stop and you're like, what did I just go through?
Yeah.
And
you only get that live.
You only get that. Like I listen to those same jokes like on.
It doesn't have the same
effect. It doesn't have the same effect. Like you can listen to them when you're there. It's a great, by the way, quick check-in. I think we're good.
Oh yeah, dude, it looks great.
You can tell me.
I like it. Yeah.
It's I evened out that long piece that they left back in New York. And then, But how's the overall shape?
It's good.
It feels similar to what you had shown me.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Not too long, not too short.
No, this is perfect length, dude. Yeah, this is exactly where I keep it. So
And then I'm just going to put a little bit of cream in here.
yeah, please, yeah.
And I know you let your hair air dry.
Yes.
So, I'm not going to go through and make you like blow dry until
No.
Jackie O hair can like talking.
I know. Remember,
Unless you want that.
well, maybe I would actually. I just
That would be great. Like a big old like pop and like slick the sides back.
let's do it, man.
No, I'm not doing that.
Shape it into an Edgar. Dude, that is like the official haircut of San Antonio now.
It is.
The Edgar. I see it all the time. Like you stop at any Valero gas station in the hot dog area. No, yeah, dude. That's do you go to a Whataburger on a Friday night after midnight? It's all just Edgar's congregating there.
It's funny.
I know, man.
Like, how did the name Edgar get tagged to that hair?
Dude, Edgar is
A real
I
person.
feel like every Mexican family has an Edgar.
Okay.
And Mexicans, like, there's a certain surge of names. Do you remember when, like, I feel like every white family has a Zach in it?
I have no Zach.
Okay. Well, you're like, what's your background?
Scandinavian and German.
Okay. Every American white family.
Yeah, well, I mean, like my birth name is Tap. So like that's like not a nickname.
Yeah.
So like we definitely don't have
But, okay, so the Edgar thing, it was like a very popular name in like Mexican culture for a while.
I wonder why.
And then everyone had a cousin Edgar and the name just kind of stuck. So like one of the most famous Edgars of all time. Do you remember watching that super viral video before, like when it was like E-Bombs World, before YouTube, before everything? And it was like those two Mexican kids and the fat one, they're like crossing a river. And then the other one like drops his cousin in there because he like picks up a log.
No. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it. It's like one's like a fat Mexican kid, the other one's like a skinny one.
No.
And one of them's crossing and he like lifts up the log and he's like, Yahweh.
No.
You've never seen it?
No.
That's like historical moment. That's like right up there with like the Mexican Revolution. It's like Pancho Villa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mexican independence from Spain, and then fucking the caída de Edgar. So his name is Edgar, and I guess the name just permeated.
Did he have that
there.
haircut?
I don't know. He had like a pre-Edgar, but it was like a little bit of a bowl cut.
Okay. But I've never seen it. Now I have to watch this.
You have to watch it. It's called La Caída de Edgar. It was like, I bet you have seen it, dude.
I've never seen it.
I feel like you have.
You would be surprised how many things I have not seen.
You grew up in SoCal, though.
Yeah.
So you know a lot of Mexicans.
My best friend Robert's Mexican.
They never showed you this video.
No.
Then they did a disservice.
Well, if you ask him, I'm not kidding around. This is a legitimate conversation. So my buddy got his concealed carry. He lives in North Carolina. Good for him. Grew up in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Grew up in Southern California. And I go, oh, really? What was the application process like? I was curious. He goes, it's funny. When you fill out the application, they ask you your race, right? And I was like, okay. And he said the options were like black, white, and Asian.
Interesting.
He goes, Mexican and Hispanic was not an option. And he goes, I grew up around a bunch of you white boys. So I just checked off white. And I was like,
No wonder he got it so fast.
that's what he said too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like all those comments remind me of like the comments my buddies and stuff like that say. But no, he never showed it to me. He never showed it to me.
Well, he did a disservice. So
Okay.
now after we wrap up this cut, now I have to show it to you.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise, it's not the real Mexican treatment. Dude, I have to. But anyways, that's where the name kind of stuck. And then the haircut just got associated with that name. So it's like, oh, it's like the haircut your cousin Edgar would have. And then it just got shortened to just the Edgar.
Okay.
So
Because
there's a lot of Edgars in Mexican culture, dude. Just like Bryan. Everyone's like, Bryan, that's not really that Mexican. I'm like, there's actually a lot of Mexican Bryan.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like if you go to Mexico, there's a lot of Bryans. And the reason is because of the Irish during the Mexican-American War. A lot of the Irish left the American and they joined the Mexican side because they were all Catholics. So you had a lot of Irish immigrants that came here. They signed up to fight in the war. And then they go, wait a minute. These Mexicans, they're great people and they're Catholic like us. So they defected over to the Mexican side and then they all stayed in northern Mexico. That's why you see a lot of like the taller Mexicans, they're like, a lot of people have Irish heritage. And then Mexicans like the name Bryan, so they started saying Bryan. So you go to Mexico, there's a lot.
There's a whole part of American history where people don't realize that the Irish were like one of the like most worst treated ethnicity.
Well, for good reason. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to get into all that. But like, it was the whole reason why Kennedy getting elected as the first Catholic president, being Irish and Catholic.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah, we're like now. I'm like whatever, But at that time, we're the generation where we had Barack. We're like, 40 years ago, nobody would ever believe that would have happened.
No,
and 40 years before Kennedy, no one ever would have believed that either.
Nope.
So, dude, how's this feel?
It feels great.
Look mad. So, what's next on the horizon for you?
Gonna be doing a tour, dropping in the summer. So gonna be doing Chicago. Just look on my tour dates. We're gonna do in Chicago, Atlanta, North Carolina, everything. It's all on my social media. So if you guys want to come out to a show, definitely come out to a show. Gonna be dropping more videos, and I'm also a filmmaker, so I have 2 films dropping this year.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's all being one social
really serious.
Novellas. One. It's a novela mini series. It's a prequel to Ugly Betty. It's called Bitch. This bitch is ugly. No, it's 2 films. One of them's actually a drama, and the other one's a comedy. So it's like I like to So I'm also a filmmaker stuff, and next time we come, we can talk about more of that process as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for cruising.
Dude, thanks for the cut. This is great, and thanks for inviting me, dude. I love your setup here. Anytime, dude, you want to collaborate on some stuff, I'm always down.
I appreciate it. No, like I said, I just love comedians are fun because like I feel like they're the most real people a lot of times because they're just like I was telling you, like I was never the class clown, but I loved the class clown because I was the guy who could be like, it'd be really fun. Is if if this happened, and they're like, I'm gonna do it. Like I sent you a message, I'm like, hey, are you gonna do that?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I'm like I have these ideas, but like I'm like, that's not really my lane to really
yeah, you're just like you're like
an idea, like somebody else should go and run with it.
Yes.
And so I love comedy because like these are the people who have the idea and they're running with it. And sometimes the things that they think are funny are also the same things I think are funny.
There you go.
And I just love laughing at the end of the day. And the more ridiculous it is, like the happier I become.
Oh, so, dude. I'm all about that.
Okay, good. I was like, did I miss one long hair? That would be like the worst hairdresser ever. All right, cool.
Awesome, man.
Awesome. What's your Instagram?
You guys can find me at BTD Jokes. So it's like Bravo Tango Delta Jokes. I like to shorten it, or just search Bryan Torresdey.
Cool. And I'll put it in all the links that aren't there.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Later.
Later.